Hey, FanboyNation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
A fanboy, etc.
FanboyNation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
The very first time I interviewed this woman, she made sure that I didn't call her Carrie and that it was Kari like Ferrari, and I will never forget that.
I'm thrilled. I'm
Yeah.
thrilled to remember that.
How can I not? And we're going to get into this real quick. The first time we talked, I asked, what would it be like if some like boring accountant dated somebody like you that's doing like metal covers in your cartoon voices as a warm up? And you're like, I'd never date a boring accountant. No. So you end up marrying a rock star and having a kid on top of it. And this is how much of a mom you've become. You missed the Metal Hall of Fame this past weekend at NAMM.
Oh, okay.
I was like, if I'm going to see a voiceover actor at the Metal Hall of Fame, it's going to be Kari Wahlgren. And
You know what? I wasn't there. I'm a little. I almost feel like I've let you down on that, but maybe next year.
It's mom life. That's what it is. It's mom life.
It is. The juggle is real. The juggle is real. There's a lot going on once you have the wee ones.
Right. Liz, before we get into your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and in the next incarnation, Aunt May is actually going to be younger than Peter because they keep going younger with you, Aunt Mays. Yeah. Since you did your warm-ups singing like death metal songs in your cartoon voices,
Yes.
what type of songs are you using your cartoon voices for to sing to the little one now?
Man, okay, so that's a great question. So singing wise, usually it's just my own singing voice, but he has gotten really, really spoiled as far as inanimate objects around the house. Will start talking to him. So, and now he's just barely 2, but he's starting to do the voices as well. So if I make up a little voice for, one of his stuffed animals or something, he'll start doing the voices too. So I think I may have a little actor on my hands. I'm nervous.
Well, his dad's a musician, mom's an actress. Mom also a ventriloquist at one point in time. So,
yes. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you remembered that too.
Oh yeah. How could I not? You sent me the video of you doing a ventriloquist act when you were, I think, either still in high school or college. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How could we forget that?
One of the few things I think I've put out there online was that video. So of those days.
Well, listen, we're doubling up today. We got What If from Marvel, and we're keeping it in the Disney Marvel family with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You are the current Aunt May in the latest incarnation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As if you need any more praise from me.
It's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. Like, I had one of the guys that was working on the show said, I think you might be the only actress to play Mary Jane Watson, Gwen Stacy's mom, and now Aunt May in the Spider-Man universe. I was like, wow, that's true. I feel pretty lucky to have gotten to play in that sandbox.
Now we got to get you as Black Cat, and then all of you can just pile up on Peter in one of those situations where all the exes start yelling at him for something.
I'm here for it. Please, no to Marvel. Let's make that happen. Anyway.
So, Kari, the show's coming to Disney Plus. Well, just in time for Valentine's Day. When you get the audition to continue to play in the Marvel sandbox in the Spider-Man universe, how exciting is that? Because you've worked for the other guys, you've done Star Trek Lower Deck, so many other things throughout your career, ventriloquism. You got your own girl metal cover band. Like, what's it like revisiting Spider-Man, but in a different incarnation? Because this is all part of the multiverse at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really great. I mean, I've said this before, but I was a big comic book fan growing up, and so a lot of these things I read or was a fan of, and watched some of the older cartoons. So the fangirl in me is very excited anytime I even get a chance to audition for these things, let alone book them. And I think also because I'm a fan of the material, I take it seriously. Like, I really want to do a good job and do the characters justice. And and it's been fun to kind of over the years get to play a span of different characters in that Marvel universe. Because as I get older, it's fun to actually play some of the older characters in the Marvel world. It makes me feel like I'm growing along with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's always a little bit of rush when you see like, ooh, this might be what this is for.
Yeah. You're growing, but the maturity level never has to come because you could still play kids.
This is true. This is true. Although, there's more of a trend in some cartoons to book the real kids. But that's why I'm so excited now that like, oh, we have the mom role available or the aunt role, and I'm like, bring it. I'm gonna audition for it.
Yeah, but like I said, Aunt May is going to end up being younger than Peter in like 3 incarnations from now because every Aunt May keeps getting younger and more attractive.
She's pretty cute in this
Yeah.
version of the show. I was like, oh my goodness. I wasn't sure exactly how young and fetching they would make her in this one. I was like, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. When the different incarnations come in, because like you said, Mary Jane, her mom, Gwen Stacy, now Aunt May, they're all Spider-Man characters, and they all have their own unique inspirations for them in the comics, but they differ with each animated incarnation because it's a new showrunner, it's a new creative
Right.
team. How do you try to stay true to not only the original comic fandom, but the various incarnations of those Spider-Man series to now bring a new, fresh take to something that's existed for 60 years?
I kind of take it project by project because, every time you're going into a new show or something, it is a fresh take, or it is a new specific vision of these characters that we've loved for a long time. So I think that's kind of where you just really have to focus on the collaboration with the team, and kind of get a sense of, okay, so what's your vision for this one? Where does it fit into the universe? Are we going more this version of Aunt May or this version of Aunt May in this particular one? So it's just kind of a real collaborative effort every time you start something like this. Because yeah, you do want to stay true to the original characters, but at this point we've seen so many different iterations of them that you kind of want to be on board with your creative team as far as where does this fit in all of that? Like, what's the vision for it?
Right. The interesting thing is that with these different iterations, you'll have fans of, say, the 90s animated Spider-Man one, Spider-Man the animated series, and go, well, this isn't my Spider-Man. Well, we had ours then, let the kids today have theirs. I mean, we can still try to enjoy it, but like, how do we avoid that comparison of this whole "my childhood is ruined" phrase, which I hate because I already had my childhood.
Right. I mean, you can't. You're going to have people that love what you do or don't love what you do, and things sometimes hit us at such an impressionable time in our lives that you will look at it and be like, "This was my Spider-Man," or "This was my, you know, Thor."
Right.
I'm trying to think of, because, and I've had that experience that I'll be like, this particular version of this character hit me at this point in my life, and that resonates with me. But again, as I've gotten older, it's kind of fun to just see, okay, so what are they going to do with it this time? Or how are they going to reintroduce it to this new generation? Or, and that's the thing that's so wonderful about these characters is how enduring they are. You know what I mean? And some of the things that they've done with this particular version of the show, I love it because there are parts of it that feel very retro and throwback, and parts of it that feel very, very contemporary and, embracing of today's generation.
The interesting thing, Stan Lee had said this quite a while ago about Spider-Man, is that anyone could have been him because the mask covers his entire face,
Huh.
that he just could have been anybody. And then, for the kids that weren't the popular kid or the awkward kid or the shy, nerdy kid or whatever it was, the costume allows Peter to be that smartass, outgoing, fun
Yeah.
character. Is that truly the appeal today to Spider-Man?
I mean, there's just something about Peter Parker and Spider-Man that are so likable. Like you always want to root for him because, he's not the big jock or the most popular kid, and in almost every version of it, he's been a little bit nerdy and stuff like that, but his heart, like he's just got such a pure heart for doing good with the mantle of Spider-Man, and so you just can't help but root for him. Like I just find myself over the decades and with every new version, I always want to cheer for him. So that never
And
goes away. I think that's timeless.
and this time we're rooting for Aunt May because you don't have a heart condition in this one. Like, remember
Not
in
that I know of.
well, in the comics in like the old 60s and everything, Uncle Ben's gone. Aunt May's this elderly woman helping raise this poor teenage kid who's an orphan and everything that's going wrong. And she has a heart condition on top of it. So he's got to try to make sure not to scare her to death
Yeah,
in finding out that he's Spider-Man. So,
she's a little younger and dare I say hipper in this version. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she's a little younger and hipper.
Well, with this incarnation, I'm trying not to give away spoilers because we got to watch all 10
Yeah,
episodes ahead of time, and it hasn't even aired on Disney Plus yet or streamed on Disney Plus. That's how old I am. It's airing, it's streaming on Disney Plus.
I'm
Like,
with you.
so it's hard not to give away the spoilers. But for you, because you recorded this like a year ago, year and a half ago, how much more difficult is it for you when you're like, oh, wait till we get to episode 6, and then it's like that doesn't come out till 2025 and it's 23 at the time.
Honestly, I think it's easier for me because I have gotten so good about just mind wiping myself after most sessions because once you've been sworn to secrecy so many times, I just, preemptively just Jedi mind wipe or erase my memory after every session. And yeah, just try to say pretty much nothing about it so I don't get myself in trouble.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
How did you also remove yourself from the judgmental aspect? Because you usually take, let's say it's 3 takes, for example, and then you'll go back. Now the show's coming out in February. You get to see it fully animated with your voiceover, and you're like, wait a minute, that's the take that they took. Like, how do you remove that judgmental aspect from it? And going, I like the second take better than the third take, but the director liked the first take, and that's the one they went with, and whatever else.
Yeah. In the moment, uh, again, I always just kind of look at it as a very collaborative process. You've got the clients there, you've got the showrunner, you've got your voice director and your engineer, and you kind of just are all trying to get into a good groove of working with each other. And most of the time, if you find the character together, you get in a nice synchronicity of like, oh yeah, that was the right take for that, or oh yes, this is the direction we feel like the character's going. So with this one especially, I mean, Jeff Trammell is just amazing, and Sarah Sherman was our casting director and our voice director, and they were just so wonderful to work with. That the vibe of the recording sessions was really lovely. So I can't say that there were many times where I didn't agree with what they were picking and where they were pushing me to go. I mean, sometimes we would try different things. But then we would usually agree, no, maybe that other one that we did was better. So the process of recording it was just very enjoyable, like very, very positive. Once it gets out in the world, you can't really control what happens after that. And usually when I watch something, I'm pleasantly surprised, like, oh wow, that turned out great, or I'm not really thinking of I wish they would have taken the third take on that line, or yeah.
Kari, I've never asked you this before in the baker's dozen years that I've known you.
Okay.
All right. But since we only had 15 minutes, in your best Aunt May scolding Peter for missing your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man's premiere on Disney Plus, what would she say to the audience in that regard? So,
Peter, you were supposed to be here. I mean, what could possibly be more important than this? Come on. Could you get over here? I know you got homework, but you can do it later. Check out the show.
Kari Wahlgren, I've known you for 13 years. You still make me laugh. I'm thrilled to always talk to you. Thank you so much. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Second full week of February is when it premieres Disney Plus. Next year, Metal Hall of Fame.
Definitely. I'm in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.